Hello and welcome everyone to All the Words August. This is a month-long writing challenge in August that's for flexible writing, editings, sprints designed to help you build a sustainable, creative routine. That is the idea behind it, and this is in support of that. I don't really do well with routines, but I'm still doing the writing challenge because I do want to get a lot of words written this month. So whether you're working on one project or any writing or editing, this is a great goal to kind of like work toward. Try to make sure I'm catching all of the points of what Mom Maggie had. So the idea is, of course, to be consistent and build up momentum. I don't really have, I don't do well with routines, but I also don't have an issue with like being consistent with making sure that I do writing. And I'm not consistent in that like every day I'm writing, but I consistently write. So I just never know what day it's going to be. But that's what this is about for this month, and this specific sprint is to support All the Words August. So I don't know if you guys are working on that. There are three different plans, or there's those three different word count tiers: 18,000, 48, and 88 or 80,000. But you really could make your own. You don't have to go with any of those. But just working off of those, Mom Maggie put together some plan options, like if you're working and writing every day, or if you're only doing during the week, or if you're only doing on the weekends, what that would break down to, the word count you would need on those days, and what that would look like. So I guess I'm kind of going for the 80,000, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to write more because this is more of my writing month. So far, what do I have done so far this month? Oh, I closed the tab already. 25,516 words is how many I've written so far. That's 3 days of writing. We're on day 6. Yeah. And I don't think I'll be doing much writing today either. I need to finish coding some pages on my website for my Fated Adventures, which, for those who don't know what that is, it is an interactive story. So the participants in the Fated Adventures get part of the story through mail, and they get some artifacts and whatnot in the mail as well. That leads to online portions where they can solve puzzles and stuff like that. And this next one, they actually have a game that they're playing online. It's not a hard game, but by doing all this, they get other parts of the story as well. And it's in my world, which is an epic fantasy setting, and it is there are romance arcs. There's 4 different characters they could choose from. So there's 4 different stories I'm writing for the 4 characters. They are all friends, and they do things often together, but not always. So you get different parts of the story depending on which character you're following. And so it's interactive with that, and it's kind of like a game component, sort of like online. It's lots of fun. And so I've got the 5th packet that went out. There's 6 months of this altogether. The 5th packet went out last week, and I still don't actually have all the stuff built online yet. The last part of the story, which was like the longest, this is the longest section I've written. It's like around 5,000 words for each character, which typically I'm anywhere between like 1,500 to, at max, usually like 3,500, maybe 4,000 for a couple. But this one's like 5,000 to 6,000, depending on the character. So I think a couple of them actually got close to 6,000 words. So I'm setting up those web pages. I got one done already. I don't know if Devin shows up. She had said something about me showing like how I'm coding the website, how that looks like what am I doing? And I'm like, I don't have time to make a video about that, because she was saying something about a video, right? And I was like, I don't really make a lot of videos anymore. And I thought, well, she's here today, I might show it. I don't know if you guys would be interested in seeing it, because I do code the website. Now, at this point in my coding on my website, there's not much original code I'm creating anymore. So I'm just taking code from stuff I've already created. And I'm actually using AI to say, okay, here's my code, replace it with this information. So I don't have to go through and redo it. Because like, let me see, for instance, I did one page already this morning. This one I had to do some modifications because it was for a new story part. So let's see. There is 418 lines of code in this page. And this is the first one of the 4 characters I did this morning. A lot of it I was able to pull from other parts of my website that already have the parts that I wanted. So it wasn't really that hard. Writing it the very first time was harder. But now that I have this page set up the way I want, I think. Hold on, I'm checking for something, because I was trying to take something out, and I don't know if I succeeded in taking it out. I forgot to check that. I did. Okay, I took it out. Okay, so now that it's set up for my one character, I have 3 other characters I now have to get coded onto the website. I will just take my current code and put it into AI and say, here's my current code, replace the story and the images with my story and images. And then I give it my story and images. And so then it does it. And then I'm able to take that code and plug it into the next page. And sometimes it messes it up. Sometimes but most of the time it's pretty good. It's actually getting better where it doesn't mess it up. Sometimes I'll mess it up. I'm like, why did you do that? Why didn't you just keep the code I had? But it's still faster for me to do it that way than me to do it myself and go through, which I can show you guys why it would be faster for the AI to do it versus me because of how it's all set up. Again, I don't know if you guys would want to see that, but I know Devin was asking for it. So I'll wait to see if she comes in and if that's something she wants to see, since I'm actually working on that today. But yeah. Okay. So I'm thinking 1 hour sprints, if that's cool with everyone. Let's see. We've got a few people in already. Kandra's first in. Good morning. I got up early this morning. Got some writing done already. Wow. Going to try to knock out 2K more before it's time to start homeschooling my kiddos. They're taking their annual Cat 6 tests. So fun. Is that like, what grade is that? That sounds familiar, but I can't place it. And I'm pretty sure it's probably different per state as well. And CJ came in. Hello, hi everybody. Hope you're well. Trying to hit 36K in my thesis today. Fingers crossed. We will try to get you there. Almost done drafting my series of 7 books. I need more than 18K, but less than 48K. But I'm following along until I'm done. I should finish this month. Yeah, I really want to finish my work in progress, my book. But at the rate things are kind of going, things are taking a little longer. Like coding the website is taking me a little bit longer this month. Not the coding itself, but the images that I created. It took me all day yesterday to create all the images just for this one story part for what I'm coding today, which I guess I didn't think about that. That would take me the whole day. I thought I would have more time dedicated to writing. And when I finish this, I need to start putting together month 6 in case if it takes me a while to do the web pages again. So, but I will be working on and off on my work in progress. I was just hoping to finish the book this month, and I still could, but I really don't know what that's going to look like. Eva came in. Hello, good morning. Web designer, the resume now. LOL. Yeah, I guess so. But the one thing that's kind of tricky about me showing it, right? So like, I think back to, I had recorded myself when I used GIMP to create the 3rd book cover, because I created all of my book covers in my first series. And the first book cover I created before I was even on YouTube. So it was like not even crossing my mind to like video record myself or, record myself. The second book cover, I think I was just getting onto YouTube, and no, I had made the second book cover first. Well, I went back through and changed it a bit, but because I hired someone to do my book cover for my first book. And then I did a mock-up of my second book cover for Nano. It was a Nano. I think it was to July Nano, and I got onto YouTube in June. So I already had the mock-up made, and I liked it so much better than the one I hired the designer for. And actually she was an illustrator, and I liked mine better. But I did have to redo it because some of the, in their flowers, it's the covers with flowers. Some of the covers I took from online images that were copyrightable or whatever. So I had to go through and figure out which images I could use and which I couldn't, and get rid of those, and then go through and find images that I could actually use, that I didn't have to pay a copyright for, or whatever you call that. So the second book cover, didn't think about it. So the third book cover, when I did it, I thought, I'm going to record this. And I say right up front in the video, I was like, there's probably an easier way to do some of this stuff. I'm not a graphic designer, or I'm not schooled on it, right? I don't have any schooling on being a graphic designer. I'm not a graphic designer. I just learn by trial and error and by looking at videos when I'm like, need something specific I need to do. And now when I look back at that video, I'm like, oh, I did that so hard. I could have done it this way. It was so much easier if I would have saved myself hours if I did it this way, because now I know better than I did then. And so like that's the kind of the catch of like showing stuff on screen. Like for me, it's like I don't have schooling. I don't have like any actual schooling on being a graphic designer and creating pictures or coding a website. It's all self-taught. So I did start teaching myself coding back in 2013 when I was setting up my website as a writing coach. And I got so frustrated with it, and I was spending weeks and weeks and weeks on it. And it still wasn't looking like what it was in my head, that I ended up hiring someone to do my website. And I absolutely loved what it came out looking like. So this time when I became an author and I was getting a website, I hired someone to do one page, and then I reverse engineered it from their code to figure out how to code. And then there's videos, and then there's a lot. Actually, Squarespace actually has a lot of videos plus articles on how to code on their website. So I went through a lot of that and taught myself that kind of stuff. And now with AI, you can be like, okay, here's my code, and it's not working. What's not working? And it can help you pinpoint what's not working or whatever. So that makes it so much easier because that saves you hours, at least me. And I'm sure there's an easier way to do these things, but I don't know them. I probably won't know them until I know them. And then I'll be like, oh, I could have saved myself hours back then. So it's for every grade in the California Achievement Test. Okay, that's what it is. Not sure what the 6 is. I was like, what is 6? Is it like 6th grade? Or maybe it's the version 6 of their test, maybe. My daughter's taking her 9th grade test, and my son is his 8th grade. Nice. My kiddo starts school next week. We've thought about doing the homeschooling thing because it worked really well, during the pandemic and whatnot. But the only thing is that he doesn't get the social part, and I'm not very social myself. Like, I don't go out and do anything. I don't interact with anybody here. And so he kind of needs that. That's the part that he's really come along on a lot of his other things. He's neurodivergent, but the social part is the stuff that he still needs a lot of, just needs that experience of working, talking to peers and whatnot. So we decided not to do that. But I did homeschool my other kiddo for 1 grade. And then we were military, so we were moving. And I asked him later, I said, would you have wanted me to keep homeschooling you? And he was like, yeah. I was like, oh, didn't even think about that. I don't know why I got into that. Okay. I am a bit tired. I don't know if you guys can hear it in my voice. I don't think I've gone to sleep before like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning the last 3 nights. And I've been back up at 5. But it's not like, it's just me just trying to get this stuff done for the website, because these pages should have already been done and up for people getting their packages in the mail. Saying all that, I feel like I don't even know if the participants are going through all the online stuff. So I don't know, because some of it's like videos. Like there's a vault that they can go into, Docilus Vault, Docilus Student, and Docilus Vault beneath the library that they can go into, and they can see a vision if they put their student ID card in, and they see a vision that's meant for them. And those are videos that I created, and they're on YouTube, and all of them are still sitting at 0 views. And I'm like, so nobody is going in there to watch it? Are they maybe not getting into the vault? Like, the vault itself is not hard to get into, but getting into the underground tunnels, you have to do a puzzle, basically, a couple puzzles to get the password to get it through the portal. I'm like, maybe that made it too hard. So I'm like, I don't even know if people are actually doing the online portion. I'm like, if they don't do the online portion, they're going to, like, the online portion I'm doing today, this is like leading up to the climax. Like, it's very, very important. There's so much that happens in the story that's online today, what I'm putting up today, which is part of the 5th packet. And it's actually the last story part that they have. And like I said, it's like between 5,000 and 6,000 words per character. So if they don't read it, they're not getting the full story, and they're not going to know, like, I know with the next packet, it's going to start off with this character who's just coming in at the end of this scene, and they're not going to know who this character is. They're like, well, where did she come from? How did she show up? Like, why is she here now? Like, what happened? So I don't know. I wonder if I'm like making this for the wrong audience. I don't know. My state doesn't have much in the way of requirements for homeschool, and my son always wishes I would homeschool the weeks before school starts back. Well, that's what I was saying. My kiddo starts school next week. Yeah, but I don't know where I was going with that idea. If only he were more into it all the other weeks, then we go that route. Yeah. I did ask my kiddo if he was, how do you feel about going back to school? And he was like, well, I like learning. That was me. I really like going to school because of learning, but I hated being around people. Like, the social part just didn't work for me. Yeah, we lived in LA, and they were easy. I think we only had to do a test every 4th year. Oh, wow. And I homeschooled my kiddo in Virginia. It was a test he had to take every year, but the test only tested math and English. That was it. And I was like, you're only testing math and English. Like, there's so much more that they should be learning. Like, how would they even know if they like science, biology or whatever? And I know Spanish, and so I don't know it well enough to really converse fast or anything like that. But so I taught him Spanish, and this was 2nd grade for him. So I did Spanish and science. I actually got a chemistry kit and everything. It was so much fun. But I was like, how can they only test math and English? I just don't get it. I know some requirements were on a ballot earlier this year, but I'm not sure how that went. Otherwise, all Illinois requires is to say, I homeschooled this child. Huh. Wow. Hard, same. I don't socialize. Yeah, I don't. I have to really push myself to get out, and I don't have any reason to right now. So I'm definitely going to have to hire someone to all the book things for me. Are you for hire, Shannon? Yeah. I have to like get through my own stuff. That's why I'm like not sleepy, because I'm like, y'all don't even know, like all this stuff that goes through my head. I feel like right now I can't ever get caught up. Once I finish the Faded Adventures, I do want to work on my novel, but I also won this free book promotion, so I need to go get it because I think it expires here soon. So I have to go sign up and whatever. It's a free book promotion. And I'm like, oh gosh, I keep forgetting it, and I got it like before I went on vacation. So I'm like, hopefully it didn't expire. So I'm like, I gotta hurry up and do this. I gotta hurry up and do this before it's done. I need to start getting set up for the next season of the podcast because it starts in January, and right now is like the time we should be scheduling everything, but I don't have time to do it. I have too much to do. Yeah. And forget about the AWC. We don't even have time to set up a meeting to discuss what that's going to look like, or if we're even going to do one next year. We're talking about possibly taking a year off. I don't know if that would be good for the AWC itself. Like, I don't know if people would forget about it. Or it would lose the momentum if we took a year off, but I really want to take a year off. I'm just tired. You would think we were less social, but we have a group of 500 families in my area, and we get too much social time. I'm worn out. See, I would be worn out too. Yeah, that would wear me out. There were homeschool families in my area, but the whole reason why I was homeschooling was because my kiddo was coming home saying racial slurs. And then for the first time, he was like depressed, and he was like second grade. And this was my kiddo who was like happy all the time. He was always happy. He was a happy baby. And I was like, this is not my kid. And I tried talking with the school, like, oh, that stuff doesn't happen here. And I was like, there's a reason why he's coming home saying racial slurs, because it's happening there. So do you think we do this at home? We're not doing this at home. And so I finally just pulled him out and homeschooled him. But I don't know if it was the whole area or what, but it's like, I already have a hard time socializing. And when I kind of got the cold shoulder from the other homeschool moms, I was like, okay, well, that's okay. We'll just do our thing over here. So I've made a couple of mom friends now, and it's exhausting. Yeah. Yeah. When my kiddo was younger, my oldest one, and we were moving a lot, I would like go out of my way to find people who are like similar situation. So like, when I first left the military, I went to school full time, and in your college classes, they're like, tell us a little bit about you. So like any woman who said that she was a mom, I'd go introduce myself to them. And I did make a couple friends that way. But now it's like, I don't really have a reason. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't feel the same now as I did then. I don't want to have to socialize. Me neither. I get it. I'm way too busy. I like being a homebody. Me too. So I told my husband, I said, I'm happy being at home. I'm happy being in my room, and I'm working on art or writing. Those are my happy places. I'm okay being alone. I don't have an issue being alone. So yeah, he's the opposite. Like if he doesn't talk to anybody, then he like starts getting depressed because he needs to get out and go socialize. I'm like, go. Like in the beginning when we first married, I was like, just go. You don't have to wait on me. I don't need to be with you. You can just go do it yourself. And he didn't understand that at first. He does now. Morning, says Rachel. Hello, how are you? My son is getting nervous about learning division and math. He's going into second grade. He's been reading since 3. So school has been a breeze for him. I think he's worried it'll get harder. I think he's going to do just fine. Just if I could hold up any example, my kiddo couldn't read. Both my kiddos actually couldn't read going into school. Not for lack of trying. I tried, but whatever it was I did, I couldn't get them to both. Neither one of them could read. And I taught my brothers how to read, which was really weird. I couldn't get my own kids to learn how to read. And they put my oldest kiddo, they put him into after school program to get him to catch up with his peers in kindergarten. And by the end of, before the kindergarten was even over, they're like, hey, we need to take him out because now he's ahead of everybody. And so it's like each kid has like their own motivation, right? So, and then now my youngest, we always read to him. I think it was more like he was nonverbal until he was 6. So we didn't even know if he could read or not because he didn't really talk. So, but math was much harder. In second grade, he still couldn't do 1 + 1, like not even from rote memorization. Like when it came to memory stuff, like he didn't remember things. Didn't matter how much we go over it, he wouldn't remember things. Like the days of the week, like that was like 2 years of us working with him and the therapist for him to remember the days of the week. And so in second grade, he still couldn't do 1 + 1. And they were going into like, starting to do more advanced math other than just adding and minusing. And they got a teacher. He was with a special group, a special classroom. At first, it was just him and another student with this teacher. She went like through 6 different learning styles or teaching styles in math until she found one that finally worked for him. So 2nd grade, he's just learning how to add. And every year he's been slightly behind his peers with math, but he's always been way ahead, like not so far ahead that he skipped a grade or anything like that, but he was way ahead of like the average here in Florida. And beginning of the year, this past year, he took his test, showed the same thing, little below average on math, way above average on the reading. And then for Christmas, he asked for a laptop and some coding books. And he'd already been reading coding books. He'd been getting them out of the library. So we got him, laptop and coding books. And so he really got into coding and did a lot of coding over the Christmas break and all throughout the last year. At the end of the year, he took his test. And again, he showed above average for reading, but for math, he scored off the charts. So he's going into 7th grade, but for math, he's going to be taking 9th grade math. So he skipped 2 grades of math. So there you go. I've got an example of 2 kiddos who were behind where your kiddo is at and excelled. So you got this. You tell your kiddo that he's got this because he's already got it. He's got the basis of what he needs. Morning, Rachel. 200K. She's for hire, I bet. Yeah. I'd probably still say no, but here's the deal. Like, I could offer my services in so many things. I was a writing coach for a while. I had over 1,000 clients, as between all the different things I was doing, because I also taught an online course. And then one of mine, I had an intermediary, like liaison or whatever you want to call it, in China. And she would have me work with students, and come December, it'd be hundreds of students' essays that she'd send me. And so then I'd work with them on their essays. And those are all essays that get into colleges here in the US. And that was several years in a row. So that was pretty good work. I made pretty good money, but I realized I was being a writing coach. I was also teaching college English and literature. And I realized I was helping everyone else be a better writer, that I was not writing myself, and writing is a passion of mine. And now I'm in a position where I can write, and I'm like, I don't want to take on client work. I don't want to do that because then it takes away from my writing time. Of course, I'm still taking away from my writing time doing other stuff like the conference and the podcast and stuff like that. But I feel like that's just a way to stay involved in the community. So she's affordable. No, she's not affordable because her schedule's full, too full. Yes. And then it's too full. And then the other part is that I don't want to, I don't mind like getting together and talking. I'm meeting with Devin, I think on Friday. I don't think we've picked a time yet to talk about street teams, because I did a street team last year, and I'm going to do another one. And in her last newsletter, she was talking about some of the stuff she was doing. And I said, hey, have you thought about doing a street team? And she's like, well, I'm not really sure what that would look like or whatever. And she was like, I know you talked about it, and I'd like to pick your brain. And I was like, yeah. So I'm just meeting with her on Friday to talk about street teams. So, because I gamified my street team. I only had 3 people who did it. I had like 15 people sign up, 11 people who followed through to get onto the platform because it's on Discord, and then 3 people who actually did it. So, but they were awesome. The 3 people who did it were really awesome. It was fun because I like gamifying things. Yeah, so like, I don't mind doing things like that, but like actually like taking contract work and feeling like I have to do this work over here to help this person when I needed help me. It just feels like it's the wrong thing for me to do right now when I left all of that behind to concentrate on me and my writing. So I don't know if that makes sense. I know it sounds kind of selfish, but I've not been selfish. I think a lot of women, we're not selfish, especially if we have families, a husband and or children or whatever. We just naturally take care of everyone else. I say naturally, but I mean, we often fall in those roles, but it may not always be true for everyone. But we tend to sacrifice a lot of our own desires and things to contribute to the family. And I just got to a point where I'm like, well, I want to be concentrating on me now. So my grandchildren are homeschooled too. My oldest had a bullying situation with a teacher. I had a teacher who bullied me and nobody believed me. And but I made it through the year. But it's just, I'm like, I don't want any of my kids to ever go through that. The teacher did lose their job, but got another at another district in the district, another school in the district. So meh. My son is a very capable learner. I did work with him, but not on purpose. They call it unschooling now, but I was just parenting how I like to parent. But my son's own abilities did the work. I don't get the unschooling thing. You're being a parent, like you said. I couldn't read until I was 12. I'm dyslexic, but it was pretty new, unknown when I was little and no one caught it. Oh yes. Yeah. It wasn't, I don't ever remember really hearing about anyone being dyslexic when I was growing up. And it's not like nobody was. They just didn't really talk about it or know about it, I guess, or didn't know how to deal with it. Yes, says Eva. My husband has office hours for this job. Maybe something like that with Ko-fi or Patreon or YouTube subscriptions could be a fun idea. I have thought about the YouTube subscription thing, Eva. It's just the time to set it up, which I haven't done because I don't have the time. I have like a list of things I want to do when I have the time. And some of them I'm going to have to, buckle down and get it done. Like one of the things I always wanted to do is get on Later Press when I have the time. But now, because they were our sponsor for the conference, part of the contract that I signed with them was that I was going to do a video in which I'm showing me getting on the platform for the first time, because it's something I wanted to do anyways. And now it's pushing me to do that. And I've got to get that video out this month, and I still don't have time to plan it yet. So I haven't even touched that. So there are other things when I have time, there are things I want to do. And I just don't know when that's going to happen. Like a peer workshop over a topic with your expertise. Yeah, not selfish at all. I love that you want to write more than make money. That's often not the case in indie writing world. Yeah. So, I mean, especially when people are, they're writing, they want to do that for a living and they need the money because they need to live. The money gets tied to it. I'm in a position where I don't really have to worry about that as much. Not to say that I can't go, nobody's gonna be happy if I keep going in the hole with money, which is why I've kind of done the Kickstarter route, and that's helped me get out of the hole. So, but it's not like we have to have money coming in, because we do have money coming in from other things. I have money coming in from the military still. So we have money coming in from things that we've done throughout our life and the choices that we've made. So I'm okay not tying it. And then I was watching this guy and I was like, this is exactly what I was feeling, where it's hard to say for artists to say, oh, I'm creating the work for the love of the work. I don't care about other people and what they want. I'm creating the work for the love of the work. And if they like it, great. It's hard for a lot of artists to actually go that route because, a lot of us need the money, right? And so when you start tying money to a passion, it starts making it less of a passion. I'm having a hard time with words. Like in my head, it's so eloquent and I can't get it out. So I like that I'm in a position where I can write because I love to. Yes, I would like to make money off of it. I make a little bit, but there's no way this would work if it was 10 years ago. I like that I can write for the passion of it and not for the money, right? But I would like to but you'll make money too one day. One day. Seems like a lot stop writing to do courses. Yes. And I've thought about doing that. The one course that I made when I was a writing coach, it still makes money. I make money. I make a couple $100s off of it every year. I don't advertise it. It's really crappy video. I mean, it's like a video course. The video is really, really bad because I was just learning filming at the time. And this is back in 2012, I think. No, 2013. It was 2013 when I made it because my kiddo was born in 2013. I wasn't pregnant. So 2013, 2014, I made the course. And so I didn't know a whole lot about camera angles and lighting and that kind of stuff. And so it's really bad video, but the information is good. But yeah, no, I get it. I got the degree and I could edit it or work in the literary world to do some capacity too, but I don't want to. I just want to write. Also, I just don't want to learn how to self-pub. Yeah, that's the part of it. If I have to, I'm still hoping to trad pub. That would be probably a good way to go. I think AWC going every other year is a great idea. It makes total sense. Yeah. I just don't know if it'll lose the momentum. We've tried so hard to make it feel credible as a conference. It's a very hard idea to wrap the mind around when we're talking to like speakers, especially those who go to conferences and speak, where they might make a fee, they might get paid for it. Like, I mean, Dale is speaking at Author Nation this year and he's getting paid for it. Speakers are often paid. And so when you're trying to approach speakers to come speak at your conference, they're not getting paid for, and it's on YouTube. So we don't even do anything if because many of them would say, well, what are you doing for the platform? Like, are you going to go ahead and set up all the filming and the recording and I just show up? I'm like, no, it's on your channel. So you have to do your own filming and everything you normally do. So it's a really hard concept for people to wrap their mind. And it's been so hard to make it be credible. And I'm pretty certain it's why we've had a couple of like special guest speakers who have just kind of blown us off. who signed on and then flaked or started doing their own thing. Because we had the one a couple years ago that she was behind on her video making for her channel. And she's like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and show this video that I'm making for the AWC. I'm going to go ahead and show it to my channel because I'm behind on making videos for my channel. And I'm like, well, that's not the idea of coming to a conference and speaking at a conference. You're giving us new material. You're bringing your audience to the conference. And you're also giving the audience there new material that they wouldn't find anywhere else. And I mean, it can be the same topic, but it's just new material. You're coming across it as from a new perspective. And if you're showing it to your channel first, then why would we need you as a special guest speaker? And I said that in a much more professional way. I ran it all through someone. They checked it and they're like, okay, this is good. You don't want to burn any bridges. I was like, yeah. And then she came back. She's like, well, I guess I just don't fit what you're looking for. And I was like, okay. At that point, I was done because it wasn't the first thing she asked concessions on for. The very first thing she asked for concession for, Margaret is like, you need to just let her go because that's unprofessional. And I was like, I know, but I really want to have her. And I really respect what she does for the community, blah, blah, blah. Well, now I don't really respect her anymore. But, so we've had people had a hard time taking the credit, the conference as something as credible. And that's why I keep the website, even though I don't make any money from the website. I keep it because it lends, not authority. It lends, credibility. No, I don't know. I can't think of the right word to the idea that it is a conference. It's just kind of a different setup. So as AuthorTube in the title, I think that setup makes a lot of sense with everyone doing their own videos. Yeah, but that does common sense is not so common. And then there are some creators who are like, they don't even know what AuthorTube is. Like, I don't know. It is what it is. All right, let's go ahead and get into the first sprint. I'm sorry I talked so long. That's not what I want to do. What do I want to do? I want to do this one. I think that works okay. I might turn it around. I could just retire and do a real conference. Retire it. Yeah, that would be even more work. There are so many things that I'm often glad that it is not. And I think you mean by real conference, like an in-person conference, because it is a real conference. That's what I have to remind myself. This is a real conference. An in-person conference, I'm often glad that there are certain things I don't have to worry about. I don't have to worry about venue. I don't have to worry about payment to anybody. I don't have to worry about making sure that the rooms and all the electrical equipment works, the AV, the whatever. I don't have to worry about all that stuff. There's nothing. I don't have to worry about that. It's all on them. So that takes it off my plate. I don't have to worry about whether or not everything's going to work because it's on them. Yeah. I need money. Yeah, I misspoke for person. I figured. Well, when you said it, I knew exactly what you said. Do a real conference. Like, yeah, what is do a real conference? I'm like, wait a second, get out of that mindset, Shannon. It is a real conference. But there's convention center 5 minutes from my house. Just random information. LOL. Yeah, but even convention centers, you have to, book it, and you have to, and when you are getting a space, you have to kind of know like how many people are going to be there because you don't want to pay for something really big and you only have like 20 people show up, right? I don't know what we're gonna do. I think I'm pretty certain we're gonna go down to 1 day, and if we do it later in the year, we might not skip next year. Hi, Jocelyn. How's it going? All right, let's go ahead and get this started. I keep talking. Okay, 60 minutes on the clock. And for anyone who has to leave out, thank you so much for coming. For everyone else, see you guys on the other side in 3, 2, 1. Good luck. I lost where I was at. Too many tabs open. Thankfully, my computer's not like shutting down. So how'd you guys do? So I set up the document for my next upload to my my website, and try to see if Devin's here. She's not here. I don't know if Devin's gonna show up or not. So yeah, so I'm trying to do the coding for a part of the story for the Fated Adventures, and I have the story done. But I also have images for the page that I'm setting up. And so what I do is I finish all of my graphics, all the images I did yesterday, and spent all day on it. And I uploaded all the images to Squarespace, which is where my website's at. And then I go and grab the image address URL. And then, so that's what I was doing. I already had all those uploaded, and I already had all the URLs pulled out. I did that. That was the last thing I did last night. So now I just have a list of all my images with the URLs, and now I'm taking the URLs and plugging them into a story where I want them to appear in my code, so that when I get ready to do the coding, it's already in place, and it makes it easier that way. So I just did that for 2 documents. So I've got, I have 4 characters. Our Dorian is already done, and I set up Riel's, and I set up most of Garnex's. I'm almost done with hers. And then I've got Shara left to do. And I have a lot of images. This one was a lot of images I made this time. I don't know how many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So like 30 images. And not all of them get used for every single story. This particular part of the story does overlap. All 4 students are there, but because there are 4 students and there's actually other people in the room, there's lots of people in this room, and lots of things are happening. People, all of them are doing magic. So they all have their own perspective. And so they only see certain things. They don't see everything. And so the images are not for every single character. So I have to figure out, okay, which one am I using for this one? Which one am I using for that one? Where am I going to place this one? So yeah, that's what I was just doing. I was setting it up in case if Devin did come in, because for those who might have just shown up, Devin had asked me once if I thought about making a video, or if I could make a video showing how I do the coding on my website. And I'm like, I don't have time to do a video. And I thought, well, if she's here today, since I'm actually coding the website, I can show a little bit of my process. But I don't know if you guys would be interested in seeing that. I know she was. I left off here when Jocelyn came in. Good morning. Hopefully you're able to get some stuff done, you and everybody else. Are you working on anything? And then Eva's saying good morning to Jocelyn. And then Mom Maggie, hello. Good morning, lovelies. How are you? Are you working on anything? Morning, Maggie. Melve, hello. Not a great day, but hanging in there. Oh my gosh. Melve, no, we've got to stop thinking about these not being great days. I was just thinking about you too. I was like, hopefully today's a better day. Yes. I like to say a lot. I have to cut out a lot of my ums in my podcasts when I do the video recording. Although now I'm starting to leave some in, because they're showing now listeners like it with some ums, because they know you're not AI. So interesting idea. Anyways, I'm about to say again. How do people do? There's some people who are so good at speaking, you never hear or anything like that. So very, very good. Heidi, she's not on AuthorTube anymore. She's not on YouTube anymore, from what I know. She was really, really great at looking at the market and stuff. And she was one of our first guests for the podcast, but she also did her own podcast, and she was so clean in the way she spoke. It was very, very easy to edit that episode. So, yeah, there we go. There's another one there for you. But we got positive thinking. Let's have some positive thinking, Melvin. I'm doing this right along with you. I've been trying to do this because I'm really tired, but we are going to make it, and we're going to make it something good. Chantal, hello, good morning. Poppy and say hi, hello. And the boop the likey. Do you have a sprint? How long ago was that? That was like 20 minutes ago, so you probably may not be still here. Anyone here, please feel free to drop any links for sprints coming up. I'm not so great at getting all of those because I have focus issues. So when the timer starts, I'm like, okay, focus on what you're trying to get done. And then forget if I was trying to do anything else, like grab links. Sometimes I remember. Usually I have to remember to put them into a document before my sprint start so I can know to go get them. But then I forget I had the document. That's happened too. So as sprint and reminder, make sure you are staying hydrated. Be sure to hug the like button. And while there, be sure to sub and hit the bell icon for more fun. I bet you're probably having a sprint today. I appreciate that. Thank you, Chantal. Candor, wow, nice. 1316. You said you got 2,000, right? Before the stream even started, if I remember right. Yeah, 2,000. No. Going to try to knock out more, 2,000 more. So you're getting close. One more sprint, you probably have it. I don't know if you're still able to stay around because I know you said you had things you had to do. Lost my place. Here you go. No, that was not where I was at. You're right. I found it. You've been so busy. Yes. I do it to myself. I get bored easy, so then I put more stuff on my plate. But now I've put so much stuff on my plate that it's hard to take it off because I have legitimate, by the way, was the word I was looking for the last time we were here talking, and I couldn't think about what word I was trying to think of for the conference. When I say credible, all these words, I was like, I know there's a word I'm thinking of. It was legitimate, a legitimate conference. Okay, now I can't think of the word I want to say here with being busy. I get bored, so I put stuff on my plate. Commitments, that's what it was. So now I've done so many things, or I'm doing so many things that make commitments that I probably should not be making, but I have already made them. I've already put these things on my plate. And so in order to get rid of them, I need to finish off my commitment and not put anything else on my plate. That's what I need to do. Good morning, Eva from Jocelyn. I am finished watering the flower and vegetable gardens. And now to make the tag video, an absolutely overdue mid-year update. You know, I never even did my first of the year goals. I've done that every year I've been on YouTube. I've done my goals for the year. This is the first year I didn't do it. And I'm just like, oh, gosh. I think it's a little too late for goals. I know I state my goals, sort of. My one and only goal I really state is my word count, which is 700K this word and a year. 700 words this year. If I can slow down, I can say all the words. August. There you go. But yes, that's about the only goal I've really stated over and over again. But in my mind, I know I have other goals. I mean, gosh, so I have goals to make sure I get my podcast stuff out there. Goals for the Author to Brain conference that happened already. I have goals for. Well, I did the Kickstarter, did that already, and my next goal was to finish my next book this year if I could. And if I could do another Kickstarter this year, but I was like, yeah, I'm so burnt out. There's no way that's going to happen. I still have 2 more items I need to finish to fulfill my last Kickstarter, and I haven't got to them yet. So that's like actually the next thing I do on my list. But not that they're waiting on me. They're just fun little items. They've got the book. They've got all the things they need if they want to read the story, but I still need to get those 2 things put together. And they're things I have to create. So one of them is audio chapter by chapter commentary, basically, which I did for my first book, and that was like an hour and a half long audio. So imagine it's going to be about the same for this next one. Got cleaned up, made breakfast, now eating, free writing, reflecting on section of thesis work. Nice. Took care of you so you can prepare the mind. Hi, Mama Maggie from Jocelyn. Vacation in 2.5 weeks. Definitely need it. Oh, yes. Okay. Didn't you take like a mini vacay, like right about the same time that I was going on my vacation? But I do feel like I need another vacation. That's what I was talking about with Devin on Sunday when we were talking about going dark. I was like, it's not really a vacation, but it was a way for me to like unplug from everything and just concentrate on writing. But I have way too many commitments for other things that I can't put on hold. Yeah. I am good at reading aloud, but suck at talking off the cuff. Yeah. Well, my brain moves so much faster than I can speak most of the time. And then my mind jumps. I think that's part of it too. It's not just that it thinks fast, but it jumps. It jumps to other stuff. Like I'm already thinking about like the next thing I'm going to say, but then that's related to this. So then I'm already thinking about that thing in my head. And I still haven't said what I was going to say because I was just thinking that. Yeah. It's chaotic in my head. Ooh, Melvin, where are you going? Oh, I didn't even ask that. That's a good question. Is it staycation? Are you going anywhere? I got sleep. Yay for sleep. I'm hoping tonight I get some sleep. How are you today? So far, staycation with perhaps a few nights at Niagara Falls and or 1,000 Isles in Ontario. I've never been to Canada on the east side. I've been a couple times on the west side. Never been to Niagara Falls either. Join us to return to a Riley routine with all the words August. Thank you for dropping that, Mom Maggie. I love that. And fun. Staycation is nice. Sometimes you just need to not be going anywhere and just stay. I didn't do a first of the year goals either. My first video of the year was a new channel intro and then under 1K author tuber streams. Oh yeah, I remember that. Have I done videos this year? I've made things that go part of videos. Like I made the giveaways video that was part of our live stream. I made the videos to solve the scavenger hunt and the word puzzle that was in the AWC speaker packet, but that was part of a live stream. Have I done actual videos? I mean, okay, podcasts. Yeah, I've done my podcasts. Those are actual videos. But it's not like a lot of planning for those. I mean, there's planning, but it's like the same planning over and over and over again. Same thing over and over. We know we're going to ask the author questions, or we're going to ask questions, and it's almost always the same. Like, how'd you get into writing? What led you to self-publish? And what's your self-publishing strategy? Or how does this work for you? And then the marketing strategy, and then writing life. So it's almost always the same stuff. But like coming up with a new idea for like script and stuff. Did I do? I feel like I did a video somewhere. I think I did, but I don't remember now. Yep, but that was the rest of a long weekend to be able to avoid burnout. Helped a little, but 2 weeks off will be better. Yes, it will. I definitely agree with that. All right. So I'll just pull. I mean, are you guys interested? I prepared sort of for this. I think I did. I probably forgot something. I tried to prepare for this in case Devin was here. I don't know if she's going to be here, but do you guys want to see me do the coding? It's not like you're not gonna watch me for a real long time, but I'll just kind of go through the process. I actually don't know if I'll make any sense. If you guys want to see me do one of the web pages on my website for the Fated Adventures. If I don't hear anything, I'll go on Discord. I'm going onto Discord to see if I haven't even touched base with Devin today, which is okay because we're off AWC season, sort of. I'm sending a message to Devin. She looks like she's off Discord, so she might not get this. Sorry, y'all, just gonna be clicky-clacking, and I can't type. There we go. I just sent a message to her. See. Sure, as long as no spoilers. Well, you'll see part of the story, but if you don't read it, then and I was thinking I would do Riel since that's like everyone's favorite. That's like 70% of the people chose Riel. So glad you got some sleep, Mama Maggie. Yes, sleep is good. I miss sleep. Banners, take this off. Well, I can always do it because Devin wanted to see what I do with this. And that's why I was thinking, well, I'm doing it this morning and I'm live. So this would be perfect for me to show it because I can't make a video because I just don't have time to make a video. But if she's interested, she can always go back and catch the replay, right? Oh, she just jumped online. Okay. She might be busy though because usually she's like always online on Discord. I don't know if I'm giving away any secrets, but you can catch the replay. So I just wrote, you can catch the replay. All right, so let me unshare this, remove this. What do I want to share first? I think it'd be best if I start with home. Okay. I'm going to make this bigger so you can see it. So I use Squarespace, although I will be changing the Fated Adventures over to WordPress. I'm going to get that set up here soon. I know Rachel was here for a minute earlier. Her company, her and her husband's company, are going to help me set up the landing page for it on WordPress. At least that's the goal. Oh, there you go. Update layout. Thank you. I don't even think I made any sense on the stream I did last night. I didn't know you did stream last night. I know you did one the night before. Okay, yeah, she's not home. It's so cool. That is so cool, though. All right, she's going to catch a replay. Alrighty, so this is like the back end when I first log into my website. And so when I get ready to set up my page, especially like what I'm doing right now, when I'm doing the story, I'm doing the story with images. I want to add my assets first, which is all the images I made. And so there's like 30 images here that I made for this particular story. And again, like I have 4 characters. So depending on which character people are following is going to depend which image they will see. Some of them they will see regardless. Some of them are overlap. But so if I want to use one of these images, so what I just, once I get all my images uploaded, then I go to file details and then I can copy the image address. How come that's not showing up there? It's not showing the, I right clicked on it, but it's not showing it on the screen. So I right click and copy image address. Yeah, it's not showing that to you guys. But that's how I get it. So I get all of my images added. Then I go and get the URLs for each of the images and I put them into a document and name the images with the names that are here. And just, so then I have that done. Okay. Now let me, how do I share this? Do I have it open? I did not have Riel open. So I'm going to do Riel. Oh, wait, let me show you. So I've already done Adorians for this part of the story. These are all the pages I've made. And I put all the new ones at the bottom. So, so here's for Adorians, the next one here. So this is what it looks like, what I'm going for. So that you see it's got the images in there all the way through. So that's what I want to do. I do have to have that open to grab the code because I already set up the code, but since I'm going to be using a similar code for the next pages, I will grab the code for that, which I'll show you guys how I do that in a second. I guess I can't share my Word file window. That says Adorian. Riel. Okay, share. So I use a Word, I write everything in Word document. All right, so this is Riel's part of the story. And so you see, let's see if I can make this bigger. So I put the URLs I grabbed, I put them where I want them. So there's the first image that's going to show up in my code. So I wrote the story part first, and then I just go through and I add in the images where I want them to show up, if that makes sense. Hopefully I'm making sense with that. So I have them all throughout the whole story. So now I've got the story, it's done. I've got it with the URLs. The URLs is what the code will need to be able to link it in the actual the web page. Okay, so now we're gonna go back to the website. Let's fracture and flame, share. Nope, that's not the one I want to share. Where did it go? Okay, share screen. There we go. It's like, where did you go? All right, so we're back here. So now I know that I want to, oh wait. Yeah, so why did you pick the brick color on top of the dark blue or the dark blues? How did you choose your color palette? So, okay, I've kind of gone back and forth on how I've chosen my color palette on some of these. I typically use like a light blue or a lavender kind of color, and that all goes with Isa. Isa is the one who, right here, you can't, you see my mouse? My mouse is not on there. You can't see my mouse on there. So Isa's the far left one here. So she's kind of like this dusky blue color with a lavender iridescence over her skin. So I kind of go with that color from a lot of the color scheme because of that. But sometimes I've also done some of these where the color goes with the actual character. So this is Ardorian. And so like when I send out the packets in the mail, they get part of the story and they get the narrative. And I didn't start this until like the 3rd or 4th packet. But I was like, okay, I want something slightly different in the packet. So they get a narrative, and then they might get like other other story pieces, or like links to get to other parts of the story online, or links to puzzles and games or whatever. So what I started doing with the narrative is I put them into an envelope that's a color that's representing, for me in my mind, represents a character. So for our Dorian, he's a fire fae. I think I've got image of him. Oh yeah, that's Issa there. Okay, there's our Dorian there to the left of in the picture. Picture's on the right. But so red for him. So he's got a red envelope in his packets, where Shara, hers is green, and Garnexus is kind of like a silver. So she has a silver envelope, and then Riel has a blue envelope. So sometimes I'm making these close to the color that I would assign to them. But when I made this one red, it was too red. And I because there is a lot of blue in this section of the story, in the images and stuff, I thought, okay, I need a cooler red. And I kind of wanted to get kind of an orangey red. So this is just an orangey red color is what I picked. I don't know if I'll stick with it. I'm still kind of messing around with it. So I do intend to change it for each of the characters. But yeah, we'll see what happens. So I'm going to go in here and then grab the code that I wrote. So there's an edit button here. It doesn't show my mouse. That's weird. It just shows when I'm over it. Okay, hit edit. And I got to hit edit again because this is a code block. And then this is all the code that's over here. And I can actually make this big too. So I'm just going to grab this code. I'm just going to copy. I'm not going to copy it yet, but I grabbed all of it, or Control A, highlight all of it, because I'm going to come back to this. So now I go, so I've already built the code. I want the same code to be for the next page I'm doing. But if you'll look here, if you know anything about code, I wish it would make this bigger, but it doesn't. Okay. So here, you see what I highlight? It starts with there's a name for this. I can't remember what the name of the beginning of this, I don't know names for anything, but you've got the P here that's in the two like triangles, right? There's a name for this. It's like on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember it. And so P stands for paragraph. So when you're done with a paragraph, you're going to have a closing one. And here's the closing one. Okay. So this indicates one whole paragraph. I do not want to have to go in here and individually put in each paragraph. So I'm not going to just copy and paste this into the next page that I'm doing, because I'd have to go into my document and grab each single paragraph one by one by one by one and paste it in here. With AI, I can do this really fast. So I'm not going to do that. So instead, I'm going to show you guys what I do. I'm going to share now a different tab. This is my speech to text tab. So I'm going to say in there, can you please use the code below and modify it using the new story and images? ? And then I just put, oh no, stop talking. I do it like in caps or whatever. Did I hit caps already? I think I did. Okay. Oops. So then I just take this, and right now I like using, I'm copying this, like using Gemini, Google AI Studio, not Gemini. So then, okay, so now I'm showing you my account over here, and I'm just going to go to a new chat, and I just put this in here. Now I'm going to go back and grab my code, but you guys saw me highlight that on highlighted again because I unhighlighted. Copy the code that is on our Dorian's page. Now, writing the initial code took a lot, but now I don't need to do more work. So I just put all the code in here, scroll all the way down. This is 418 lines here in this code. So yes, I do not want to, what did I push something on my mouse? I don't want to have to redo all 418 lines. Then I go back and grab my other heading that I have. Oops, wrong button. And then I'm going to my story that I showed you guys. That's a Dorian. Where's Riel? Riel. And I'm just highlighting all of it, copy and paste. I've got the images, the URLs already in there, and then I just run that. And now it'll spit out the code. If it does it right, it'll spit out the code that I have on Ardorian's page, and then I can put it into Riel's page and then modify it from there, because I'm going to change the block that's behind the text, the story block. I don't see any other questions. It's taking a little bit to think. We're at 32 seconds think time. And see, now it's keeping all the same stuff I already had there, but it's going to plug in the paragraphs for me, so I don't have to go paragraph by paragraph by paragraph and put it all in there. Writing the initial code did take a bit of time. And when I first wrote it, it didn't look I think it's really pretty now how I have it. I like having the image in the background blurred with the story box on top. The first few story pieces that my Faded Adventures people got did not look like that, because I was still playing around and trying to figure out different things to do with the code and what I could do with it and how to make it look prettier. So how hard was it to create and select the images for your website? Are there any that you love but set aside for later use? I do have some that I've set aside for later use. Now the images for the Faded Adventures, that the initial images, which I changed Garnexus kind of like midway through, but I already got her character card. Like I printed 50 of them, so it's going to be what it is. But I initially just found images. I used deposit photos to find images of models that look like what I was hoping for. And it's really cool too, because on deposit photos, some people were do cosplay. So I could find some that had the hair for Ardorian. It's fire hair. I found one where he did a cosplay and he set it up. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. I like that. I didn't even see Ardorian with short hair. And so I took his image and I kind of modified it a little bit, and then I put it into AI. I know you guys some people are not going to like that idea, but I needed something that was going to create images over and over and over again. That's going to be pretty close to what I needed as far as the characters looking the same. So I use the AI to create and put them in different environments. And sometimes the AI does not come out looking like the way it does. So then I spend time to go through and then change. Usually it's just its facial structures, bone structures and stuff like that, go through and modify it from there. So all right. They used to put the copy button down here, but now I think it's at the top. Really weird. They update stuff all the time. Okay. So now copy this, copy. All right. Now let's go back to this page, share this tab. So we can close this, cancel out. I don't want to change anything there. Now I'm going to go to Riel. So here's when I start a new page on my website, this is what it looks like. And so this has a text box. So if you're used to just going to your site and adding stuff to the page, you probably might use this, just add text to the page. But since I'm writing my own code, I don't need the text box. And what I found on here was that if I do a code box and I put my code in there, especially with an image that covers everything up, it puts this extra space because this text box is still here. So first I add my code box, and then I go back and I delete the text box. There is a way to get in there and do it, but I have trouble. You have to double click in the right place to get it so you can delete the text box out so you don't have extra spacing in there. But now I'm in my code box, I edit it, and now I'm just highlight and put my code in. There we go. I know, of course, I don't like this color, so I want to choose a different color. I'll share. So I like using a page like this, and with Riel, let's do it's kind of bluish, maybe a little bluish purple. So I like this one. So then you got the RGB 117, 84, 171. So grab the RGB color. I think I like that one. I kind of like this one too. Wait, it's not changing it. Yeah, okay. It's not giving me that one. Can I change it there? Yep, A154. Oh, no way. Whatever. I don't know what it was. We'll just go with this one for now. I can come back and choose a different one if I like it. Where am I at? Which one? Here we go. Share this tab. Okay. Now I've got my RGB color that I want. So I just need to find the story box with the RGB in it. So here you can say like here's background image URL, wrapper for scrolling content, main container for the story box. And this is where the RGB is at. So it's 117, 84, 171. Okay, that's not too bad. Maybe change the opacity on it. That didn't really do a whole lot. Okay, I like that a little bit better. Now it looks more bluish. I really don't like that orange color on Adorians. I might just change all of them to this color. I just think it goes better with the background image. Okay, and it looks like I don't have anything that's italicized in here, and there's supposed to be stuff that's italicized. Oh, there it is. There's something. But that was its own paragraph. This looks like it messed it up a little bit. Hold on. You go back to my original, because I'm pretty sure I put that in its own paragraph. So just because I put it in there doesn't mean that it's done. I'm going to check it. Okay, wait. Here, I've got something. Oh, that's Eldorian. Where's Riel? Riel. Okay. I'm just looking back at my document to see how I set this up. I'm pretty certain that my italic line was its own paragraph. It is. I think it put some of my paragraphs together. That sucks. That does not usually happen. But okay, so I'm gonna go grab the tag. I think that's what it's called, HTML tag. That's what these are called. Okay. Yeah. Let's put a lot of my stuff together. Went too far. Yes. Okay. I'm gonna have to. I think I'm gonna rerun it through the AI, to be honest. But to show you guys how I would do it. Let me see. Looked into his eyes. Looked into his eyes. No. Yeah, this really didn't do it right. Okay, here we go. This is where it's supposed to be. You would know that okay, there is the, so this is supposed to be its own paragraph. So we're going to add the tag for paragraph. So I'm closing a paragraph with this tag and opening the next paragraph with this tag. And technically I can put this on its own line. It's already got the close tag on it, but this one needs a close tag now, where the italicized works, where it starts. Here's the italicized. So we need a close paragraph tag here. Need an open paragraph tag here. It really messed up a lot of it, so I'm going to go back through and try it again, but just to show you guys what that looks like. Now if I close this, it'll fix it. See how it fixed it? Now it made 3 paragraphs. It put 3 of my paragraphs together into 1 paragraph. So there's stuff I have to do with this one still to fix it, but there we go. That's pretty much what it is. I'll just go through and make sure everything that I want italicized is italicized, get my paragraphs out here, set up the way they're supposed to be. Yeah. And that's it. Okay. Then Devin can go and look at that. And oh, okay, got a notification on my phone. Sorry, got distracted. Need to get back to the right tab for timer. And you guys ready? We'll go ahead and get started on the next 1 hour sprint. Yeah, that's right. If anyone has to leave out, thank you so much for coming. And for everyone else, we'll get started in, yeah, I forgot it's going to do this. YouTube. 3, 2, 1, good luck. And that is time. How did you do? Okay, well, I got quite a few comments. I got the rest of the story parts up there so they're for all 4 characters, and now I'm just going through and checking for italics because that doesn't always carry over. So I'm still on Dorian's. There's a few that I missed because I had already gone over his for italics once before, but I missed some. So I think I'm almost done with all of his, and then have to go through the other 3 stories, check for italics, and then I've already checked through our Dorian's. But I'm trying to make sure that every story part that I'm putting up there has a picture of at least one picture of every character who's in the room. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 13 pictures at least. And then a couple images of just the room itself with like what's happening with the wall of ice, because there's a wall of ice in there. Stuff is happening with it when they're doing their magic. So between 13 and 16 pictures, I'm trying to make sure that all of them have at least that. Which I've already checked out Dorian's, but now I got to check the other 3. So still got to do that. So left off here, I had missed the question, or I don't know if I had responded to this. I often create bad images and use AI as a filter to make it more normal looking. That's what you meant by filter. The other day you said something about AI with filter, and I was like, what does that mean? I didn't understand what that meant, but now that you said it this way, I get it. I understand what you're talking about now. So yeah, I kind of do the same thing. Kind of put together images and different parts and whatnot, and then run it through the AI to try to get it to look like how I want. So like the characters, once I've got the character set the way I want, then I try to get it to make consistently the character over and over again. But then the backgrounds are different, so then I'll go find the different backgrounds. Of course, and the characters are doing different things, and sometimes it doesn't come up with it. Or like one of the images for out of these 30 that I have up there for the current storyline, I didn't have any way to get it from the AI. So I had to go find a model and then like take pieces of the model. And so I took like the arm, and it was like the upper arm, and then the lower arm, and then the shoulder, and part of the what is this right there? Like the clavicle and everything, part of that, and then part of the back, and put it all together. And then, but I still couldn't get the AI to make it look right. So I just had to blend it, make it look as good as I could get it. So how did you determine the font of your site? Are there font recommendations by genre? And I always said, I'm sorry, I missed your cue, but there are sites out there that recommend fonts by genre. Miblar has a good article on it. And then Mom Maggie said, I was just popping the question in so you could clip this into a short tutorial video later. It sounds like a great plan if I remember to do it. Yeah, so for those who might be wondering, so Miblar has a good video or article about genre for fonts and whatnot. As far as what I chose for my website, so I have a certain font for my author website, and then I use a different one. I have like 2 different ones. I have 2 that I kind of use consistently, which one of them does it's the same as what I use for my website. So as far as the story and whatnot, it's actually using the same font as like what you would find in a book, so it makes it easier to read. But I also print off material to send to them. And that material, which is sent to them, the participants, and that material has like a direct letter from the characters, because the characters have written a couple of letters to the participants. They have their own font. So, and that's just by what I feel like goes with their personality, I guess. Probably not what they would suggest doing with all the different fonts, but I like it. It's part of the whole visual to me. Emma came in and said hello to everyone. Frankie, hello. Nice to see you again. Good morning, everyone. Are you working on anything? Good morning from Jocelyn. Hannah Beth, hello. How's it going? I am listening to One Summer by David Baldacci and am 33% or 73% wanting to finish today. Start another book, Nipping Green Beans to Kian. It's a good way to use the time, listen and get stuff done. Hopefully you were able to get some of it in. Hey, Jocelyn from Emma. Hi, Hannah. I'm freaky sweet from Emma. Hi, MM. Hi, Emma. Hi, Emma. Lots of highs and heys and hellos. And good videos. I did see it pop up. I haven't had a chance to see it yet. We're changing something in your series, I think it was, for Emma. I don't know if Emma's still here, but I've been meaning to ask you, what does beats mean in terms of writing? I'm sure that it could be more eloquently said than what I'm going to say, because I'm more of a writer than a speaker. But beats are specific points that your story hits. So like there's certain points that each story will get to. And so in the simplest beats would be like the beginning, which is like called different things. What is it called? I would say of it as like the status quo, but there's an actual name for it. So the beginning of a story almost always is like what's happening before the inciting incident, and the inciting incident, it could be like its own beat, and then each plot point could be a beat. This is in the simplest terms, and then if you go by like genre, beats can have names, or even just outliners who have written books. So you have it's a scriptwriter who wrote what's the Save the Cat book? I know it's Jessica Brody did it for novels. Save the Cat script. Blake Snyder. So Save the Cat, the last book on screenwriting. So Blake Snyder wrote Save the Cat, and it's beats that he kind of picked out that a story would hit when it comes to screenwriting. And then Jessica Brody, right? Do I have the right author? I think I do. Jessica Brody. Yep, to Save the Cat. Yep, she wrote Save the Cat. She wrote using the same model as what Blake Snyder used for Save the Cat. She wrote Save the Cat writes a novel. So certain beats that novels will hit. So you have like your opening and your beginning, all that stuff. But some of them are given different names. So Snyder called like, you have your climax, which is usually a beat that every story has, right? So that's where the protagonist either achieves their goal, what they've been wanting, or what they need, versus what they want. Sometimes that's the case. Or they don't achieve it. So that's a valid option as well for the climax of the story. And then following that, Blake Snyder called it the dark night of the soul. And so that you might hear that quite often as a beat. And that's usually like the protagonist's lowest point, where it doesn't look like there's any way to come back to achieve the story goal. Wait, that's not after the climax. That's after one of the plot points. I'm kidding. I'm not a plotter. I am aware of all these different things, and I'm aware of beats, but I don't really think of them in terms of beats until I do my reverse outline, which I do after I finish writing. So Dark Night of Soul is after usually, so you usually have multiple things that are stopping the protagonist from getting their goal. And classic structure, usually it's three things that stop them, and it's that third one, which is what I actually just wrote for what I put up on my website today for the Fated Adventures, which is their third time being stopped in their goal. And then it's the Dark Night of Soul, where there's no coming back, or at least it feels like there's no coming back. And then you have the climax, where the character gets or does not get their goal. Lord. So anyways, all of that in there, they have beats. It's like romance has certain beats. So like, and that could differ too by writer or by person who's writing the outline. Some people say like the first kiss is a beat, but other people just say, oh, that's just like when they first connect. It doesn't necessarily have to be a kiss. But yeah, I don't know if I'm making any sense. I have had very little sleep over 3 days. And so I'm having a hard time like coming out with words that make sense. I'm sure somebody else can make it, like I said, could probably talk about it more eloquently than I could. If you give me a minute to write it in an essay, I could do a good one for you. And I'd come up with the right terms and beats and everything. Exposition. That's the beginning of the story. Exposition. I always think of it as like the status quo, because there's such a negative, like a stigma at it, to the word exposition when it comes to writing, because you want to show, don't tell, which I think there's a place for both, for showing and not telling, and for telling and not showing. But exposition tends to be like, oh, that's too much exposition, let's move on. The story, if it has too much exposition, can drag it down, that kind of stuff. So negative. So I always think of it as like the status quo, but in a classical structure, it's called exposition in the beginning. If you're like 3 plot points, it could be more, could be less. Usually not less, but yeah. I'm currently working on it now while listening to you. I'm on a break right now. Okay, cool. Like I said, I don't really think of in terms of beats too much. Occasionally when I write something, especially if I do like a short story novella, I try to think of what the beats would be, but most of the time it's the things that are going, the obstacles. The obstacles, those are beats, right? So the obstacles that will stop the protagonist from getting their goal, I will often think about those could be ahead of time. I try to, for short story and a novella, I try to come up with those ahead of time, because if not, I'll write long. And I have ideas in my head when I write my novels, but those end up changing. I'm hearing words. Is it me or is it something else? Must be something else. Off to lunch. Thank you for your sprints. Bye. Sorry, I talked a whole lot more this time than I did before, Melve, but hopefully you were able to get some work done, productivity at your job. So thanks for stopping in. Another question, starting the first chapter, right? How do you set the stage and scene for the continuous chapter, if that makes sense to you? I don't know if I understand what you mean by continuous chapter, but starting the first chapter, right? I mean, there's so many ideas about how to start the first chapter, right? There are, and this also has genre conventions as well. If you're wanting to follow genre conventions, you don't have to, just because they're there. And there's a guy I've been watching. Let me see. The way he's breaking it down, I really enjoy it. And he has worksheets with all of his stuff. Let me see if I can find him real quick. I haven't watched him in a couple of days, though, so I don't know if I'll be able to find him. But I'm going to look at my history of what I watched. I want to go through and get some of his sheets just to kind of fill it out. But this is like people like who like to plot, which I don't really plot. I have ideas in my head, but I don't. I've tried to plot, and then I end up changing the story because it's not going the way I want it to go. And then I kind of start over, and then I get mad because then I have to change my plot. So I just don't do a lot of plotting anymore. I usually always start off knowing, I know how my stories are going to begin. I know how my story is going to end. A lot of times I have ideas of scenes that are happening. Oftentimes my characters will talk in my head to each other. Okay, I didn't think I went this far back. July 15th? That's a while ago. I know I watched something sooner than that from him. Just have to find it. I really like how he's breaking it down, and he's like really getting into the nitty-gritty of it. So he starts at high level, so it's easy to understand, like, okay, here's where most people are starting. Here's how you can get further into it. I swear they're not showing me everything that I've watched, because I know I just watched something of his last week. It's the end of July, and it's not showing in my history. Oh, there it is. I found him. Oh, I should have remembered his name. It's Julian, which is my son's name. Let me just grab his YouTube channel. So he's doing a whole series. The series is not done yet. So you'll want to go back to like the very first one he did in this series. I'm trying to think of where the beginning is at. He'll tell you, you start watching one of his videos, and he was like, hey, this is following on what we talked about last time. Then you know you need to go back another video. I'm thinking, I think it's the how best-selling authors really, and then the rest of it. So the first video I think is how best-selling authors really start their novels, and the next one's why bestsellers hook readers, but your book doesn't. That's the inciting incident. So the first one is don't start with a hook, writing advice. How best-selling authors write frequently good dialogue. I'm trying to think. This doesn't feel like this is everything. Maybe I don't have the right person in mind. Pretty sure I do. Would I probably hear it? Second. Yeah, I think this is the first one. So, okay. Let me just drop his channel link. That's his channel link. I like how he breaks it down. So I consider myself like an intuitive writer, which is a term I got from Becca Syme. And she has a podcast YouTube channel here. And she works in organizational psychology, and more specifically has been trained with the Clifton Strengths. And she's a Gallup certified coach to work with Clifton Strengths. And she specifically works with writers. I think this is his first video. I think this is the first video in the series. He doesn't have a whole lot of videos yet. It looks like he only started like 9 months ago. He's already almost up to 6K 6,000 subscribers, which means, people are resonating with what he's talking about. But what was I saying? Becca Syme. Oh yeah. So Becca Syme talked about intuitive writers. So intuitive writers are writers who don't really like plan, but they do. It's like in the back of their mind and their subconscious, and they know what, we internalize structure and plot and these beats, all this stuff is internalized, and we learn this and we internalize it, and it comes out in our writing. And we do run into roadblocks because we don't have everything written down. So when we run into a roadblock, then it's just a matter of getting through the clutter in our mind to access our subconscious. And the perfect example that she gave of this was perfect for me, because whenever I'd come into a roadblock, I'd go to my husband. I'm like, hey, this is what's going on right now in my story. And I, kind of tell him what's some stuff going on or whatnot. And I was like, I'm kind of stuck at this part. And he'll start giving me all these ideas. And I'm like, yeah, that doesn't work. What I'm looking for. No, that doesn't work. And one day he was like, and this was after a couple of years, right? One day he's like, I don't know why you come and talk to me, because I don't think I'm very helpful for you. You don't like any of my ideas. And I looked at him and I was like, I don't know. I was like, but you do help me. I may not use your ideas, but it's very helpful. It's why I keep coming back. And so I didn't know what to say to him. So then one day Becca was talking about the intuitive writer. So she has a whole playlist on her YouTube channel on intuitive writers. And she said the intuitive writer, they know what they want. They know what their story is supposed to be and do, because they have internalized this structure, character arcs, story structure, all of this is internalized, and they know what they want to do next. It's just getting away, getting all the other stuff out of the way to access the subconscious. And often these type of writers will go to people to kind of hash out what it is they want to do. And most of the time, they're not going to find anything. They're not going to find the answer with the other person. Instead, what the other person's helping them do is to cut out and cut through all that clutter so that they can access the information they really have that's stored in their subconscious. And I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. So I went back to my husband. I told my husband about it, and he was like, okay, that makes me feel better. Yeah. And now, and I still feel bad when I don't always take his advice. And I do use the AI often to brainstorm. And again, I don't really take the advice of the AI most of the time. I will if it's really deep level, because I'll start knocking some stuff out and I'll say, okay, but what about this? And then it might give me something else that gets me thinking on something else. And my brain just skips a lot. So it works well with my brain. By me. Okay. Continuing the chapter. Sorry, spell check. Oh, continuing the chapter. How do you set the stage and scene for continuing the chapter? I don't know if I answered you right or not. I think I just saw you have to go. Okay. I'll talk to you later. Bye, Frankie. I don't know if I answered your question, but hopefully you got something out of what I said. So, yeah, getting short on, the views here. It looks like we got about 7 people with us. Yeah, not a lot of chatter going on. What time is it? 11. I gotta feed my kid. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and end it here, because I don't know if there's anybody else who's still here and wants to do one more sprint. I could do one more. 12:30. Yeah, technically I could do 2 more, but before I got to take my kiddo to therapy. That'd be really close though. And so, yeah. Thank you, Tim. Alrighty, I'm not really seeing if anybody else just lost a person. So, okay, we're just going to go ahead and call it quits. I'll be back tomorrow, but it's going to be later in the day because my kiddo has his open house at the school. So I'll go over there and go meet his teachers. He'll get to see where his classes are at, whatnot. And yeah. Sorry, my brain just jumped about what we need to do for tomorrow. So thank you everyone for coming, and I will catch everyone later. Bye all.